New Mexico PBS, in partnership with the League of Women Voters of Central New Mexico, presents the Albuquerque Mayoral Debate.
Welcome to New Mexico PBS's 2013 Albuquerque Mayoral Debate with Mayor Richard J. Berry and challengers Peter Donnelly and Paul Hay. This is the last of the televised debate, so in the next hour we will present questions drawn from the community with the help of our partners, the League of Women Voters of Central New Mexico. Each candidate will be allowed a total of 90 seconds for each opening and closing statement, 60 seconds for answering each question, and 30 seconds for rebuttals. We begin with opening statements, the order of which was determined by a drawing of straws. Each candidate has 90 seconds to answer. We start with Mayor Berry.
Well, thanks to KNME for having this debate this evening. I really appreciate the opportunity. And thanks to the voters of Albuquerque, who over the last 4 years have given me a tremendous opportunity to serve this great city as your mayor. Our city's on the right track. We're moving in the right direction. But 4 years ago, that wasn't the case. 4 years ago, we faced a national recession. We had lost over 22,000 jobs in just the 2 years before I took over as your mayor. We had federal budget cuts, and we faced a $90 million budget shortfall in just our first few months on the job. And people said, Mayor, you're just going to have to lay off valuable city employees, you're going to have to slash city services, or you're just going to have to raise taxes. Well, we didn't do that. We did what cities and families and businesses around the country did. We tightened our belts, we made difficult decisions, and we didn't lay off our valuable employees, and we didn't slash city services, and we didn't raise your taxes. And our city's on the right track, and we're moving in the right direction. And even through some difficult times, we've accomplished a lot. Our local businesses have added 7,200 jobs in just the last 12 months alone. We have Paseo and I-25 just now getting started. A great traffic nightmare that's going to be now a traffic solution. We have one of the most robust recycling efforts that our city's ever seen in place. We have initiatives for education that we've put in place, teaming with APS, UNM, CNM. And we have one of the most meaningful homelessness initiatives in the country. So I'm asking for your vote today to keep our city moving in the right direction, and I look forward to our debate.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, Paul Hay. 90 seconds. Opening statements.
Well, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity. Hello, Albuquerque. I'm a little bit different than the other candidates here. I'm not a politician. I'm one of you. I'm a military veteran, and I was a police officer in New Mexico over 30 years. 25 of them, I'm proud to say, right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I retired in 2011 as a senior sergeant. I've seen the problems of Albuquerque. I faced them up close and personal in my face for 25 years. No one needs to tell me what the problems are. And as a police officer, I had to deliver bad news at times. That your loved one may be deceased, or that your loved one may be arrested. Well, Albuquerque, unfortunately, I have to deliver bad news again today. That bad news is our economy's in a wreck. Our citizens don't have jobs. Our school system has a horrendous dropout rate. Our crime problem is horrendous in the city. And our drug problem is horrendous in the city. But the good news is I have a solution for all of this, and I can fix this. Within the first year of my administration, I will have this city working. I have a plan to do that, to put money in our citizens' pockets right away, immediately. Not years from now, but immediately. I ask for your vote, because my vote, your vote, is a vote for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hay. Appreciate that. Pete Donnelly, 90 seconds. Opening statement.
Thank you very much. I want to thank PBS and KNME for having this debate. I also want to thank Mr. Hay as well as Mr. Berry. My name is Pete Donnelly. I'm a Democrat, and I believe in a woman's right to choose, and I will enforce the minimum wage once I'm elected. I come from a working class family. I was born and raised here. My father was a World War II disabled American veteran, and he was a barber by trade. My mother was a waitress and was originally from Chacon, New Mexico. During the last 4 years, Albuquerque has lost thousands of jobs. Businesses have closed. Our young people, our educated young people, are leaving the state in droves. We can do better. We must do better. I believe that we can create jobs by investing in our local businesses, but investing in our neighborhoods and identifying major projects that will bring jobs to our economy. In particular, our middle class as well as our working class are hurting. We can create jobs by investing in our neighborhoods, create jobs by investing in major projects. The Albuquerque Police Department is in a complete meltdown. We've lost over 200 police officers. Response times have been intentionally increased. Violent crime, especially rape, is up by 60%. Also crime and as far as the commercial burglaries and residential burglaries are up. We can reorganize the police department, put more police officers in the streets. I look forward to answering these and many other questions as we proceed with this debate.
Thank you, Mr. Dinelli. Really appreciate that. Our emphasis during this debate will be on eliciting specific questions, and we have many questions. The drawing of straws also determined who will answer the first question, and the order will rotate throughout. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer the first question, and that goes to Mr. Hay. Mr. Hay, the economic recovery, when you look around the country, things are quite robust in some cities. There's some jobs out there in certain categories that are paying $20 to $30 an hour, if not more, new industries. Our question here is, how do you envision Albuquerque having those kind of jobs in these emerging markets, and what will you do specifically as mayor to make that happen?
Well, it's very, very simple. Albuquerque is in a death spiral, according to Forbes magazine, for the economy. We lost more jobs in this city last year than anywhere else in the United States. One thing I want to do is start trade schools. We have a horrendous dropout rate in this city, and our young people are just wandering the streets. They don't even have jobs. So what do? If you're going to drop out of high school, and if you don't have the money to go to college, or if you're not college material, drop into a trade school. One example only, and you know the trades cover everything from technical to medical to mechanical. Just one example, Caterpillar, for instance, is looking for diesel mechanics. They can't find them. A diesel mechanic makes north of $80,000 a year. That's not a bad paycheck. So I want to encourage our students that are dropping out at a horrendous rate to drop into a trade school, learn a trade so that you can support yourself and your families.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Hay. I appreciate that. Mr. Mayor Berry, you're next. Again, same question. Robust activity in other cities. How do you envision that happening in Albuquerque, and how would you do that?
Sure. Well, Albuquerque added 7,200 jobs in the last year, and that's our local businesses adding those jobs. I'm a local business person myself. I believe in our ability to do that. If you look at a recent Brookings Institute study, Albuquerque right now is the 5th best city in the country for job creation as a percentage. That's out of the top 100 metros. But I think from a job creation standpoint, we have to look past what we've done in over the decades. And that's why Bob Frank and I at the University of New Mexico, for example, are teaming up to work on Innovate ABQ. This is the idea of taking research from the University of New Mexico and taking that to market through commercialization. That has wonderful opportunities. We're looking at the First Baptist site as the place to do that, and I think there's tremendous opportunities there for college graduates now, for researchers, but also from a manufacturing standpoint. And as we work on diversifying our economy, there's so many things that we can do, including working with the legislators, Democrats and Republicans, to make a more competitive tax code, which happened last year. So I think our future is bright, and we're moving forward.
Thank you, Mayor Berry. Appreciate that. Mr. Dinelli, same question. Jobs, and how would you create them as mayor?
The economy and jobs are the #1 issue facing the city of Albuquerque. Over the last 4 years, Albuquerque has lost 35,000 to 40,000 jobs in the Albuquerque area. We have been ranked 4th worst city in the country as far as jobs are concerned. In addition to that, we've been ranked 98th out of 100 cities in the country for job creation. It's not all roses the way the mayor would like us to believe. We need to be very assertive in addressing the problems in the city of Albuquerque as far as job creation. That's why I've offered my plan called Energize Albuquerque. It's an investment in our local communities. It's also an investment in our infrastructure. This investment will create jobs. It will create jobs for the working class. And then we need to concentrate on attracting new industry to the Albuquerque area, industries such as the healthcare industry, as well as transportation. These are the types of industries that will create jobs with real careers for both men and women.
Thank you, Mr. Dinelli. Now we have time for rebuttals. Again, reminder, these are 30 seconds each. We'll start with Mr. Hay.
Well, the mayor says he created 7,000 jobs last year. I saw 7,000 people standing online at Target to get one of 200 minimum wage jobs, so I don't know where these 7,000 jobs are. We, by Moody's own report, which the mayor refers to all the time, we're 298th in the nation, 298th for job creation. we have to do better. And Mayor always talks about these technical schools and, combining with UNM. That's great for college graduates. If you're a college graduate, wonderful, wonderful. But what about the thousands of people that aren't college? The thousands of people that can't afford to go to college and maybe not have the aptitude for college? We have to think about our whole community, not just part of it.
Mayor Berry, your next rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, Moody's tells us that Albuquerque is going to add somewhere between 20 and 25,000 jobs in just the next 4 years alone. That's 5 to 10,000 jobs more than Mr. Dinelli's plan, in which he wants to take $300 million of your tax dollars and put them into a terminal at the airport that frankly will sit empty, or he wants to close your local golf courses and sell those to developers. I think fundamentally, economic development is about a competitive tax code, about our educational environment, about workforce development. And during my first term and continuing into my second term, we will continue to concentrate on all those fundamentals to make sure that our children can have a bright future right here in Albuquerque.
Mr. Dinelli, 30 seconds, rebuttal.
Once again, this mayor likes to listen to only the facts he wants to hear. He has not created any jobs over the last 4 years. We've lost thousands of jobs. My economic development plan called Energize Albuquerque will invest in our local community and attract new industry to the Albuquerque area. We're not going to create any kind of, build any kind of terminal at the airport. We're not going to do that until we actually get a commitment from a major hub, an airline hub or cargo hub. The fact is, this mayor has been a complete failure when it comes to economic development. He has not created any jobs over the last 7 years, and all he has offered is Albuquerque the Plan, which is a failed plan.
Thank you, Mr. Dinelli. Appreciate that. New question, also on economic development. Again, reminder, 60 seconds for your answer here. Let's start with Mr. Mayor Berry. Also on growth. Water is a big issue here. How would you foster economic growth as you talk about in a way that does not overwhelm our existing water resources in infrastructure, and additionally, with climate change impacting our water, what should the city's plan be for reliable water in the future? A long-term plan. Mayor Berry.
Well, one of the best things that happened in Albuquerque decades ago is we had leaders that stood up and started the process of a San Juan Chama diversion project. And now the city of Albuquerque, we're in a drought right now, so we're pulling more from the aquifer, but that San Juan Chama diversion project has actually created the opportunity for aquifer to actually rise over time. That took a lot of foresight. It was controversial at the time, but I think there's several things that we need to do in the city of Albuquerque. We need to continue with our conservation measures. We've done a wonderful job as a community, and kudos to all the viewers for going out there and being good stewards of that natural resource. But we also need to start looking at future sources and having smart growth so that we do not overwhelm this great natural resource. There's a lot of opportunities in New Mexico, from desalinization with some of the brackish water that we find in New Mexico. So a combination of water sources through maybe desalinization plus conservation measures. And the experts tell us that we've got many decades ahead of us of smart growth in the city.
Mr. Dinelli, you're next. Again, same question. What would you do to foster economic growth at the same time understanding our water resource issues?
Well, first of all, I'm the only candidate that's been endorsed by the Sierra Club, and it's because of my commitment during my long career in public service, commitment to the environment, commitment to water conservation, as well as commitment to air quality. The mayor has slipped, basically fell asleep at the wheel, because the #1 environmental issue facing Albuquerque is our water issue, especially the spillage at Kirtland Air Force Base. This mayor has failed to actually lead on that particular issue. We also need to be far more aggressive in making sure that Albuquerque steps up to the plate, does far more conservation with our water, especially with our buildings that we have in city government. But once again, this mayor refuses to ignore that we have a serious problem at Kirtland Air Force Base with the water spillage. Yes, our forefathers were very much, did a very good job in making sure we had the San Juan diversion. But we have to protect what we have now. We have to make sure we have strong conservation efforts in place, especially with the city's water usage at our parks as well as our government facilities.
Thank you. Appreciate that. New subject. Albuquerque Police Department, of course, has been in the news. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get Mr. Hay. My fault. Sorry about that. So anxious to get to that subject. Mr. Hay, my fault. Sorry about that.
No, you didn't ask me the question to begin with.
That's right. Economic growth and water usage. My fault, sir.
Thank you, sir. Here's a dirty little answer, Albuquerque. Our aquifer is poisoned. I've been going to the meetings at Kirtland community, and I've been listening to the Air Force. It wasn't 250,000 gallons of spilt fuel. It was 28 million. And they've been studying the problem for 13 years. And they said very nice gentleman, colonel there, said that they'll study it for another 2 years and they expect to be able to fix it. And of course, being the kind of person I am and being blunt, I said, are you going to be able to fix it? He kept saying, I expect to be able to. We expect to be able to. Next meeting I went to was with a PhD, doctorate after his as long as his arm. And he told me, and he told everybody there, he says, the secret is the only way to fix the aquifer is to have an alternative water source. My thought is this: if you can pump oil from Canada to the Gulf, then you can build a desalination plant in the Gulf federal government, because you caused this problem, and you can pump water from the Gulf to Albuquerque. And I would be in Washington and I would be demanding that is done, because we are out of time. Albuquerque, your aquifer is poisoned.
Appreciate that. Next question. The Albuquerque Police Department, as I was saying. What do you want to do a rebuttal, 36 rebuttals on that? Sure, absolutely, we can do that. We can offer to everybody. Mayor first, 30
The
seconds.
reason I want to do that is because Mr. Dinelli has built his entire campaign around giving you false information and misleading information. And he talked about the Kirtland Air Force spill. Let me tell you a little bit about that. The well in Albuquerque that's most at risk from that spill is Ridgecrest 5. Recent studies tell us that the fuel spill at Kirtland Air Force Base could take decades to reach that, but we don't want to sit on our hands. Within my first few weeks in office as mayor, I met with Colonel Duvall at the time, who was the commander of the Kirtland Air Force Base. We talked about the issue. I went out to see Mr. Yonkers, who was the Obama administration designee as the Undersecretary of the Air Force, at the Pentagon. We talked about it specifically. I've met with Colonel Kabenik, Colonel Manus, and now Colonel Miller. We are on top of the situation. We're working with the State Environment Department, the Water Utility Authority, and the Air Force is taking ownership of this important issue, and I have all the confidence that they will continue to work on the cleanup on this particular issue.
We're going to allow Mr. Dinelli, of course, 30 seconds for his rebuttal as well.
Mr. Mayor, all you've done is talk. This is the #1 environmental issue facing the city of Albuquerque. It's nice for you to go out and talk to all the colonels and whoever back Washington, but what have you actually done? What have you directed your city attorney to do? This has to be addressed very aggressively. We have to make sure that we work closely with our congressional delegation and not just the military. Turning it over to the Air Force is not going to cut it. We have to make sure that we get our congressional delegation involved, and you have failed to do that.
Mr. Hay, we'll give you 30 seconds as well for rebuttal.
Absolutely, folks, your water is poisoned. I have been speaking to everybody out there at Kirtland, the Air Force. The Water Authority has no solution. The Air Force has no solution. And I was told by scientists that were there, the only solution is an alternative water source. We have no alternative water source. And the pollution is getting deeper into the aquifer. As it was floating on top, it is now sinking deeper into the aquifer. And they can't even explain why that is happening.
Now we've got that squared away. Sorry about that, guys. I appreciate your patience on that. Now, new subject. Question 4. The Albuquerque Police Department is under investigation by the Department of Justice, as we know, for possible violating civil rights and excessive use of force. Let's start with Mr. Dinelli. How would you restore faith in this police department?
When I left as Chief Public Safety Officer, the Albuquerque Police Department was the best trained, best equipped, best staffed, and best funded department in Albuquerque's history. We had 1,100 police officers, and the department is growing. Now we have a situation where we've lost over 200 police officers, and I submit to you it's because of the poor management of the Albuquerque Police Department by Mr. Berry and his administration. The Department of Justice investigation is definitely the biggest black eye on the city's history. I think it has an impact on being able to attract new industry to the Albuquerque area. The city has now a reputation for basically being a violent city. As mayor of Albuquerque, I will reorganize the Albuquerque Police Department. I will remove all top management, and we will put more police officers in the streets. And we also will get down those response times. Under the leadership of Mayor Berry, response times have increased by over a minute. We've got to get them back down, because this means the difference between life and death when you're dealing with priority 1 calls.
Mr. Hayes, same question. How would you restore faith in the Albuquerque Police Department?
Well, everybody knows that I know the Albuquerque Police Department. I've been there 25 years. He wrecked it, the mayor. I'll fix it. And how do you do that? Well, I can't restore the faith, but I will install a chief locally, not from out of town like the mayor wants to do, a local person as chief of police that's going to respect the officers, and the officers will respect the chief. Not that they're going to be friends, but mutual respect. That chief is going to have to lead the officers to regaining the trust and the respect of this community, which the officers themselves know they have lost and desperately want to gain it back. The problem is not with the rank and file officers of the Albuquerque Police Department. It is with the top management of the police department. And this mayor let Ray Schultz stay as chief of police, which he still is, by the way. He's on vacation. And allowed, after he said his candidate, Barry, that he was going to replace him, let him stay and drag this police department down to being faced with a takeover by the United States Justice Department. As a police officer in Albuquerque, I never thought I would see that happen.
Mayor Barry, same question. How would you restore faith in the APD?
Well, let me just say that the citizens of Albuquerque have a police department that goes out every day, works diligently on their behalf. They've driven crime rates to 3 lowest years of FBI crime rates in the last 20 years. Last year, while violent crime went up around the country, it went down in the city of Albuquerque. We had some fixing to do after Mr. Dinelli left, certainly, especially with the Safe City Strike Force, where you just got to pay $1.7 million because Mr. Dinelli and his small team went out and illegally evicted people from their homes. Well, let's talk about some of the reforms that we put into place. I put over 60 reforms into place to get our officers home safe at the end of their shift and to have better community outcomes. During Mr. Dinelli's last 3 months on the job, he had 4 officer-involved shootings. That went into our first year as mayor. We put some incentives or some reforms into place, and at that point in time, we've had 3 years now with below-average officer-involved shootings. 2011 was below-average officer-involved shootings. 2012 was below-average, and this year we have had exactly half of the officer-involved shootings this year to date that Mr. Dinelli had in his last 4 months as a public safety director.
Rebuttals, Mr. Dinelli, 30 seconds.
It's amazing how this mayor likes to point out a $1.7 million judgment that he agreed to. He agreed to pay $1.7 million. He also agreed to pay $33 million in police misconduct cases. He also agreed to pay a total of $55 million in settlements. And a lot of that settlement money also went to some of his buddies that are trial lawyers. This mayor does not want to take responsibility for his actions, and he's the individual that settled outrageous settlements which should have been tried.
I have a second rebuttal question, actually. And we're going to let you finish, but I want you to think about that for a quick second, so we're going to do there. Mr. Hay, of course. Rebuttal, please.
Well, the mayor always refers to it as his police department and being proud of his police officers. If he's proud of his police officers, why did he cut their pay? Why did he not honor their contract? And why is his police officers suing him in court and winning? Why are they now taking a case all the way to the New Mexico Supreme Court? He talks about crime going down. Yeah, the officers are out there, the rank and file officers are out there working every day. But when you have 2 officers working an entire area command, that's a disaster looking for a place to happen.
Mr. Barry, 30 seconds of rebuttal.
Well, Mr. Dinelli doesn't want you to know that before we had that $1.7 million settlement, he and the Safe City Strike Force were found guilty by the judge. It wasn't a matter of if we paid a settlement, it was a matter of how much. And if you've seen the Safe City Strike Force vehicle that Mr. Dinelli's prominently exposed in, you will know why I'm sure the Risk Management Department settled for what they did. And as far as the settlements go, Mr. Dinelli, 70 to 80% of those settlements that we've made as the city of Albuquerque, those initial claims happened when you were at City Hall. So yes, we've had some cleaning up to do after Mr. Dinelli left. We're on the right track and we're moving in the right direction.
Now it's time for my rebuttal. Got a little anxious there. Mr. Dinelli, I'll start with you. Mr. Hay brought up something that interests me. Chief of Police hire. Would you lean towards hiring from within, with all the things that come with that, sometimes good, sometimes bad, or as a reform-minded chief from outside the city? Would that be your choice? 30 seconds, please.
During my entire career in public service, especially as a prosecutor, as well as chief public safety officer, I've always advocated strong police oversight. I believe we need a chief, the best chief we possibly can find, that understands a department which is under siege and is able to handle serious problems. I will not only look in-house, but I will also recruit from out of the city and find out and place the best possible, best equipped, but most importantly, the best qualified individual as chief of police.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Hay, same question, promoting from within or reform-minded chief from out of the city?
I've never said I'm going to promote from within. I said I'm going to promote a local person. Could be a retired person. I am not going to give somebody a job from out of state. I'm going to give a job to somebody from Albuquerque. We are not too dumb in this city to solve our own problems. I want somebody that understands our police department, that understands our diversity and understands our culture. That's the type of person I'm looking for.
Mr. Berry?
Well, as we search for a chief, we've got interim Chief Banks in place right now. And by the way, Chief Banks is doing wonderful work. I hope that he does come through and applies as a candidate for the position when we open it up for a national search. We certainly have great and qualified individuals within the Albuquerque Police Department, but we don't want to shortchange either the department or the city by not going out for a national search. We want to get some community involvement, obviously, in the search, and that's why we're bringing in a firm to help us go through that so we can get robust community involvement. We can talk to all the qualified candidates and come up with the absolute best chief, whether that's Chief Banks or one of the other individuals that I hope will apply for this position, because it's a great department and it's a great opportunity for someone to lead APD.
Appreciate that. Mr. Hay, you're going to take the first question first, and we're going to talk about city contracts. So we've had some recent controversies. Contracts are going out of state to out-of-state firms, sometimes PR, sometimes other things. When the city puts out contracts to bid, how would you increase the probability that locally owned businesses would have a better shot or a fairer shot to winning those contracts?
Under my administration, contracts are going to be awarded to city companies first, positively. It's always going to be looked at among those companies, quality of work and price, of course. What's best for the taxpayers. But it's going to go to city companies first. Albuquerque for Albuquerque. If for some reason a city contractor or a city company can't do the contract, then I'll go to New Mexico. New Mexico and Albuquerque. I am not going to go out of state. I can't see any reason to go out of state. We've got to get the city moving. But you know what's more important? That everybody gets a fair shot at those contracts. The mayor always refers to his friends. As I travel around the city and I talk to different contractors and I talk to different people, they all say, yeah, the mayor's friends always get the contracts. We don't get a fair shot. Everybody will get a fair shot under my administration, guaranteed.
Mayor Berry, same question.
Well, gosh, you know, the way the city charter is set up, the mayor's not even in the room when decisions are made for purchasing. We've put $350 million plus on the streets of Albuquerque since I've been the mayor. People said we couldn't get that done. And many of those projects are going to local contractors. Paseo I-25 is another $93 million contract that went to a local contractor. You couple that with our Thrive ABQ efforts, where we're trying to get all of us to buy locally, and we have absolutely upped the amount of local purchasing in the city of Albuquerque. We're also putting incentives in place. I have a women's pay gender equity initiative right now, where we're going to incentivize private sector companies if they can prove that they pay women the same as men for doing the same work at their companies to get contracts at the city of Albuquerque. We will continue with our buy local initiatives that are currently in place, and we will continue to put work out in the streets of Albuquerque, along with our $5.5 million EDACT fund, which is our Economic Development Action Fund, and have a local firm take the lead on that to market our city around the country.
I believe that we should give preferential treatment to the local businesses, that we need to give them priority, make sure that we give those contracts to as many local people as we possibly can, make sure we have in place incentives to allow that. My plan, Energize Albuquerque, will do just that. Again, the goal is to invest in our local economy, to invest in our neighborhoods. But I find it interesting that this mayor talks about the fact that he's not even in the room when contracts are awarded, yet he has no problem soliciting donations from contractors to his campaign. If you take a look at, he's raised close to $800,000 in contributions. A lot of that contribution has come from the contractors that actually do business with the city of Albuquerque. But I believe, as mayor of Albuquerque, I've gone in with public financing, and this campaign will be beholden to nobody. But we will make sure that the local contractors, in fact, get their fair share, and they're identified and being given preferential treatment.
Mr. Hay, 30 seconds rebuttal. We'll start with you.
Well, the mayor always talks about buying locally and taking care of locally. Why don't you talk about the small business complex at Constitution and Carlisle that your administration put out of business because you allowed an outside company, Smith's, to put a gas station at that corner that doesn't meet clean air quality, that doesn't meet the standard for it's too close to the intersection for the driveway, and that people have been going. You've actually closed that business complex up that was a medical complex because of all the traffic that was going through their parking lot and making a danger to the people.
30 seconds in rebuttal, Mayor.
Well, you know, having a plan, as Mr. Dinelli says, with no specifics behind it, not being able to tell you how he's going to pay for it, it isn't really a plan at all. The city charter is very specific in how these things work, and for us to have a robust support around the city of Albuquerque from Democrats and Republicans, from job creators, small business owners, really makes me proud. The fact that we've gone out over the last 4 years, brought our community together, and the fact that I have robust support in the campaign, just like the president or a governor or other mayors around the country have, I make no apologies for that. We have a great city, and people know that I'm the right man to keep us moving in the right direction.
30 seconds rebuttal, Mr. Dinelli.
Once again, it's easy to stand up here and say that you have diverse support. The reality of it is the overwhelming majority of your support is coming from the Republican Party as well as Republican donors. All these contractors you've solicited, you asked for thousands of dollars, so at times at $5,000 a clip. So your words may come out nice, but the truth is that you know you're going to be indebted to all these contractors once you're reelected, if you're reelected.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that on that question. New subject. 20 years ago, Albuquerque had an independent Office of Neighborhood Coordination that helped empower and revitalize neighborhood associations. Would you support creating a stronger independent city office to concentrate on our neighborhood associations and continuing that revitalization? Mayor Berry first.
Well, great cities are made with great neighborhoods, and they're made with great people. And the good news for Albuquerque is we have both in abundance. We have almost 300 neighborhood associations in the city of Albuquerque. And as your mayor, I've done something very unique. For the first time ever, twice a year, I have a meeting of all the neighborhood associations in town. We invite them to either the convention center, or this last time was at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, to talk about issues that are important to them, but more importantly, to get them to step back a little bit from their neighborhoods and see the city as a whole. Because if I can get people on the east side of town talking to people on the west side, north to south, then all of a sudden we are taking people who are already leaders in our city because they're neighborhood leaders, and we're getting them to take an overall picture of the city of Albuquerque. We also send our constituent services groups out to almost every neighborhood association meeting in the city. So we very much believe in neighborhoods. We very much believe that's how our city is going to move forward. We believe that's why we're great today, and we'll continue to have a robust discussion and listen to them because they are our boss.
Mr. Dinelli, you have 60 seconds as well.
Once again, your words defy your real actions. During the last year and a half, I actually have reached out to neighborhood associations. I believe the neighborhood associations are the real pulse to the city of Albuquerque. When I was head of the Safe City Strike Force, I worked very closely with the neighborhood associations. You've gutted this department, and the only time you're really interested in talking to the neighborhood associations is when you get all the presidents together in one area. But you have failed over the last year and a half, at least from my understanding, to actually even go to a neighborhood association meetings on a one-on-one. I submit to you that your actions basically show that you really don't care about our neighborhoods. I've spent the better part of a year and a half reaching out to the neighborhood associations, finding out what they need, what their needs are, but most importantly, identifying what their problems are. And for a period of 8 years, I was able to deal with those problems. And we addressed with the Safe City Strike Force problem neighborhoods, and we were able to bring down crime in those neighborhoods. And I submit to you, Mr. Mayor, your actions speak louder than your words.
Mr. Hay, same question, supporting creating stronger neighborhood associations.
We have a very good system of neighborhood associations now, and I, like Mr. Dinelli, I have been all over this city in debates where all 3 candidates were invited to go. Mr. Dinelli always showed up. We debated each other. The mayor never showed up, period. Never showed up to one of them. So he spins and he talks and he says that he held this conference with all the neighborhood presidents. He didn't show up. He had his staff there. He didn't show up. As mayor, I will go out and talk to the neighborhood associations, to the people in those neighborhood associations, not just their presidents, but to the people, and learn what their concerns are and know what their concerns are. I was at the several neighborhood associations, and they always ask, "Where's the mayor? Where's the mayor?" And I asked them the same question, "Where's the mayor?"
30 seconds for rebuttal, starting with Mayor Berry.
Well, as you can see, I think the whole debate's probably going to be the same MO from my opponents. They'll look the facts in the eye and then they'll say they're not true. To say I've never been to a neighborhood association meeting, that's a ridiculous claim. This is our 6th debate, Mr. Hay, and I think people in Albuquerque are starting to see a pattern here where we've got two gentlemen that frankly don't believe in our city. They can say they love it, they can say they have a passion for it, they say they've been to a few meetings, but if they don't believe in our city, they shouldn't be running for the mayorship of this great city. We have robust neighborhood engagement. We spent 4 years really enjoying that opportunity, and we'll continue that into the second term.
30 seconds rebuttal, Mr. Dinelli.
Frankly, Mayor, I have to take real strong exception to you saying that I don't believe in my city. I love this city. I was born and raised here. I've raised a family here. I was at the Trumbull Neighborhood Association, the African American part of town. I asked them point blank, has the mayor ever come out to talk to you on a one-on-one? And the answer was no. In the 4 years that you've been in office, you have never been there. That is a repeated pattern of conduct on your part. But please, don't tell me that I don't love my city. Don't tell me that I don't have faith in my city. Please stop it.
Mr. Hay, 30 seconds rebuttal.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the mayor, how dare he say I don't love this city? I spent 25 years of my life protecting this city. I love Albuquerque. But the mayor just wants to spin things and say, oh, Mr. Hay's picking on me, Mr. Dinelli's picking on me. No, I'm not picking on you. Albuquerque, we have problems. We don't solve our problems by hiding from them and not admitting that we have them. It's like an alcoholic that doesn't admit they have a problem. We have a problem.
The U.S. Supreme Court, new subject, has ruled that prohibitions against contraception and abortion violate the right to privacy set forth in the U.S. Constitution. Do you think that a local municipality has the authority to overrule the U.S. Supreme Court? Mr. Dinelli, we'll start with you.
No, I do not. I do not. I believe that as a practicing lawyer for 34 years, I believe that again, I strongly believe in a woman's right to choose. I think this is a highly personal issue that a woman has to make. But once again, I think that this is an issue that is very personal, it's very sensitive, and I do not believe government should be involved with it. This is a decision that a woman has to make with conferring with her doctor, conferring with her family, but most importantly, conferring with her faith.
Mr. Hay, same question.
I'm the one that went in front of the city council and tried to get the late-term abortion issue put on the ballot during the mayoral election. Unfortunately, I was told that it wouldn't be fair to the city clerk because she has to count all the signatures. Isn't that what we have her in place for? My answer was get her help. It's a lot cheaper than paying $750,000 for a second election, a special election. A woman's right to choose, I am not in favor of taking away a woman's right to choose, but I am in favor of making sure that that fetus cannot feel any type of pain before an abortion is commenced. And again, in special circumstances, the mother's health, the quality of life for that fetus, of course, there's always exceptions to every rule. But it's not a local issue, folks, and Congress isn't going to solve it because they don't solve anything. They're going to kick it over to the Supreme Court, and that's where it's going to be eventually solved. Because whatever decision is made eventually in Albuquerque is going to go through the court systems. We all know it, so why not just admit what it is?
Mr. Berry, Mayor Berry, pardon me.
Well, I think a little background may help some of the viewers as well. The reason we have some of these referendums coming through, whether it was the minimum wage referendum or the 50% to win a ballot initiative referendum or now the late-term abortion initiative, the city charter spells out how members of our community can go out and collect enough signatures, and that goes onto the ballot for all of us to vote on. This particular ballot initiative that you're speaking of, Gene, will be on not on our mayoral election, but it'll be on a November 19th ballot. And I think the citizens of Albuquerque, well, I know, will go out and they'll vote individually. There's 330,000 of us who vote or who are registered voters in the city of Albuquerque. People will go vote on that. If that passes, if it fails, it fails. If it passes, I believe there will be immediate court challenges to that. And I believe that issue will ultimately be decided in the courts. It's really not a mayoral issue per se, but I think the courts will have a lot to say about what any one of us, if we were the mayor, can and can't do if that does passes.
Now time for 30-second rebuttal, starting with Mr. Dinelli.
This is a mayoral issue. It's an issue of leadership. A woman's right to choose is a very sensitive one that has to be made by a woman conferring with her doctor, conferring with her family, and also conferring with her faith. This draconian legislation that's going to be on next month's ballot, there's no exception for rape or incest. But I believe that this mayor failed in leadership by not condemning Albuquerque being called the Holocaust of New Mexico and condemning this outside group that came into Albuquerque to push this initiative.
30 seconds rebuttal, Mr. Hay.
Well, the mayor never stated his position on the late-term abortion issue, and we never ever got an answer on why the city council kicked it down the road to a special election. 13% of you people voted in the last election in Albuquerque, 13% of you. I knew if this was on the ballot for the mayoral election, that percentage would increase to 80 to 90%, because if you're for it or if you're against it, you're going to come out and vote. And I wanted to get it on the ballot to get the voters driven to the polls.
Mayor Berry, 30 seconds.
Well, as you can see from Mr. Dinelli's answer, he's running a hyper-partisan campaign in a nonpartisan race. He's trying to take this issue that the city charter spells out very specifically on how it's supposed to work, turn it into a mayoral issue for purposes of political gain. The fact of the matter is the charter dictates how these situations will work. It doesn't take mayoral signature to get it on the ballot. It simply runs through the system, whether it's minimum wage, whether it's this initiative, or whether it's any other initiative. And I think we'll see more of these coming up the way the charter is written. So I think the best thing we can do as a city is treat each other with dignity and respect. He's been called out for running false ads on a hyper-partisan basis on this particular issue, and it's the wrong thing to do. Let's just go out and vote our conscience as a city.
Is there a counter rebuttal?
Do we have time for a counter rebuttal? Yes, we do. Of course we do. Starting with Mr. Dinelli.
Mr. Berry, that's the second time you've alleged that I have basically used a wedge issue. I want to remind you, 4 years ago when you ran, your Republican Party got very much involved in your race. You also ran on the issue of immigration reform, and you talked about Albuquerque being a sanctuary city and claimed that immigrants were responsible for increasing crime in the Albuquerque area. You also used the wedge issue of marriage equality. You said that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Don't talk to me about wedge issues, not when your actions 4 years ago were outrageous.
Second rebuttal, Mr. Hay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a non-issue as far as I'm concerned for local people, because everybody knows it's going to go through the court system. And I just feel that it's a non-issue for Albuquerque, because whatever decision is made, whichever way it goes, it's going to be challenged by the other side. And it's going to keep being challenged until it winds up in the United States Supreme Court, where the ultimate decision is going to be made. So I think that, you know, we're beating this to death when there's actually no reason to beat it to death. When it comes on the ballot, go vote your conscience, and then when it gets to the Supreme Court, the decision will be made.
Second rebuttal.
Well, addressing Mr. Dinelli's comments about partisanship, the first thing out of his mouth today in this debate was a partisan comment. He just made partisan comments in his last particular answer to this rebuttal. And this is a nonpartisan race, Mr. Dinelli. This is a nonpartisan office. We've run a nonpartisan administration as the mayor. We've achieved a lot by doing that. Contrast that to the letter that 17 of your fellow employees and subordinates wrote when you were at the DA's office complaining about the hyper-partisan atmosphere you created there. We can't afford that. You're too risky as a mayor of Albuquerque.
Last subject, last question. We'll start with Mr. Hay on this one. The current duties of a mayor, it's changing rapidly. The future holds lots of different duties for mayors out there. What do you think? How does a mayor, what do you need to do to meet these needs? How do you need to change as an executive, as a person, to meet the growing demands of a changing world, a changing city to be mayor? Mr. Hay, we'll start with you.
You have to be one of the people. You have to be a leader. The mayor always talks about being a cheerleader. Well, you know what? Being a cheerleader for the city is great. But when you're a cheerleader and your team's losing 30-0, you better get the quarterback and the coach together to make sure that the team wins. Come up with a plan to make sure the team wins. You have to be a leader. This mayor has not been a leader. I call this mayor an elitist. He always talks about his friends, his friends, his friends. Well, what about the thousands of the rest of the people in this city that he doesn't consider his friends? We have to lead. And how do you do that? You get out and talk to the people. Find out what their problems are, one-on-one. I've been doing that all through this campaign. And people open up to you and they talk to you, and that's what is needed. You can't sit in your office and listen to staff and listen to what people want you to hear. You have to get out and do it yourself. Lead.
Thank you, appreciate that. Next, Mayor Berry.
Well, first of all, being a mayor of a major American city is just an absolute honor and privilege. Thank you again for the opportunity over the past 4 years to do that. I meet with mayors from around the country, and it's very interesting because mayors are taking a wonderful leadership role. You see the gridlock and the hyperpartisanship in Washington, the same hyperpartisanship that Mr. Dinelli is advocating for in the mayor's office. We don't want to do that as mayors. We want to come up with solutions, work with our communities. First and foremost, you got to craft a budget that makes sense. We've done that to the tune of $160 million in shortfalls over the last 4 years. Our fiscal ship is in order. Secondly, you have to have public safety as a priority. 3 lowest FBI crime rates in 20 years. Absolutely wonderful work by APD there. You've got to work with your educational institutions. You have to work with the leaders in your community who are out there trying to create jobs on a day-to-day basis. So it's a multifaceted job. My experience as a small business person, a UNM graduate, obviously, with a degree in finance. And my time in the state legislature served me well as I go to City Hall each day and continue to move our city forward.
60 seconds, Mr. Dinelli, same question.
I've spent 27 years of my career as a public servant, holding highly sensitive positions, and I believe that in order to be an effective leader, you have to be able to identify what the problems are, find out what those solutions are, and then act on those solutions. Being able to work across party lines. This mayor has probably been the single most partisan mayor in Albuquerque's history. When he first got elected, all he did was surround himself with partisan individuals, political operatives, and basically he now has a supermajority on the city council, and he's cut out the city councilors that are Democrat. I believe in working across party lines. I've done it in the past. I've worked many years ago as a city councilor where I was able to reach across party lines, and we were the most accomplished city council in Albuquerque's history. We were able to get the quality of life projects built, the Balloon Museum, the Science Museum, the Botanical Gardens, and the aquarium. I was very proud of my record, and I've always been able to work across party lines. This mayor, however, basically takes a partisan approach to everything he does.
30 seconds rebuttal now, starting with Mr. Hay.
The mayor wants to say that crime is down. Albuquerque crime is not down. He spoke about last debate that him and his wife were downtown in the downtown area at Globalquerque. Globalquerque was not downtown. It was at the Hispanic Cultural Center. So he was not downtown. Everywhere he goes, he has a police escort with him, including today. On the same weekend he talked about on how downtown is so safe, there were 56 crimes committed down there. One, a violent stabbing, several beatings downtown. A bomb was delivered to his office, or a bomb scare, and a drive-by shooting 3 blocks from his house.
We're going to move on, Mr. Hay. I appreciate that. 30 seconds rebuttal, Mayor Berry.
Well, I think we should just look back at the facts. You know, it was a big news when I was the first Republican mayor elected in decades in the city of Albuquerque. And what's the first guy I hired? Was Dave Campbell, a prominent Democrat, to be my chief administrative officer, to work with me side by side. And that was the budget, Mr. Dinelli, where we had to take over from the administration that you were part of, and we had to solve a $90 million budget shortfall that first year. I crafted the budget, sent it down to the city council. Every single Democrat voted with us. We've done bipartisan things from recycling to education to the homelessness initiatives to crafting budgets. It has been a wonderful time. We've got a great city council, and I look forward to working with them if I get a second term.
30 seconds, Mr. Dinelli.
Hiring one Democrat does not make it nonpartisan. Talk about the fact that most of your department directors are Republicans. You hired Darren White, you have Rob Perry. Both of these have been Republican operatives for years. In addition to that, when you talk about crime, you keep picking and choosing what stats you want to look at. Albuquerque is, in fact, is 54% higher when it comes to crime on a national level compared to the national statistics. And I believe that I submit to you that, once again, you're trying to pick and choose what stats you want to rely upon.
We have time for one last question, if we can do this with no rebuttal, and then we'll get to closing statements after that. But I want to get this in. We'll start with Mayor Berry. 2 mixed-income housing projects, Silver Gardens and 2nd and Lomas, seem to be successful at getting more low-income, mixed-income residents into housing, but the area is still struggling with shuttered businesses. I'm talking about downtown, and just mentioned concerns about safety downtown. As mayor, what are your top priorities for revitalizing downtown and making folks in the city feel like it's a part of the fabric? Mayor Berry first.
If you didn't get a chance to join us at the Borellis at the rail yards on Friday night, we had thousands of people down there really enjoying themselves as part of the rail yards revitalization. We've really walked the walk when it comes to downtown revitalization. We've got a $25 million convention center upgrade going on to attract more business. We're looking at putting fiber optics downtown. We got with the FDIC when the Anasazi building was dilapidating and got them to sell that. And we just had a ribbon cutting last week on the brand new finished Anasazi. We took a public-private partnership initiative to put a downtown grocery store. That project is moving forward as we speak. And we have worked with the Silver Gardens folks. Romero Rose is a great local partner in that. A lot of great local partners. And we've done more workforce housing, I believe, than any previous administration. So we're really walking the walk for downtown, and we believe in downtown. And we know that we have more investors that want to invest, and that's good news for all of us.
Next, Mr. Dinelli, again, revitalizing downtown.
The downtown area is an area of town that I feel very strongly about. In fact, during my first few years, when my dad had a barber shop on 3rd and Lomas, our home was on 3rd Street, and I got to know the downtown area very well. It's an area that I cherish. It's an area that we need to be making sure that we invest in the downtown area. That's why my economic development plan, Energize Albuquerque, calls for a major investment in our neighborhoods. In the downtown area, I have a real belief that we can revitalize it by making a major commitment. And again, trying to attract new businesses to the Albuquerque area, to try to attract them to the downtown area, but most importantly, to see how we can have private partnerships with businesses, to see how we can help them do their businesses, but most importantly, invest in our neighborhoods and invest in the downtown area with major infrastructure projects as well as other projects that will stimulate the local area.
Mr. Hay, downtown revitalization.
In order to get downtown revitalized and active, you have to solve the crime problem. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a horrendous crime problem down there every Friday and Saturday night. If you don't take my word for it, go down and look for yourself. We have to get a handle on the crime problem. We have to get our citizens working. If our citizens don't have jobs, they can't patronize these shops that are closing up. All our small businesses are struggling, but yet the mayor takes the side of corporate America over our small businesses in this city. And a prime example of that is the gas station that's illegally operating at Carlisle and Constitution that put that small business complex out of business because of traffic accidents, because of people urinating in the alleys, and because of people turning around in their parking lots. Put a whole small business complex out of business for corporate America.
Now it's time for closing statements. You have 90 seconds each. Let's start with Mayor Berry.
Gene, thank you so much for this evening's debate. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to talk about ideas with our boss, the citizens of Albuquerque. Once again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity over the last 4 years to serve this great city. Our city's on the right track. We're moving in the right direction. We're the 5th best city in the country right now for the last quarter for job creation percentages. Our neighborhoods are safer. We've driven the violent crime rates in Albuquerque down even while they went up around the rest of the country last year. Since I took over, murder rates are down 25%, rapes are down 15%. Last year alone, we had 650 less auto thefts than we had the year before I took over. But what's as important of all of those things, from the fiscal responsibility standpoint to the educational initiatives to our homelessness initiative that now has 250 of our most vulnerable in housing rather than living on the streets of Albuquerque, is the fact that we've done this together. Being a mayor is about leadership, and it's about bringing people together. It's not about tearing our community down. Albuquerque has a bright future. Says who? Says many, many people. From the prognosticators that tell us we're going to add between 20 and 25,000 jobs over the next 4 years, to those who tell us that Albuquerque is on the forefront of innovation. I will continue with your vote to move Albuquerque forward for the next 4 years. It's been a great opportunity for me, and today I'm asking for your vote for a second and for me what would be a final term as the mayor of this great American city.
Thank you, Mayor. Paul Hay, 90 seconds, closing statements.
Listen, folks, this election isn't about me. I'm you. This election is about you. You know that crime is rising in Albuquerque. You know that you've been a victim of crime. You know that you're not safe in your own homes, wondering if your home's going to be the same way or whether it's going to be burglarized when you get back home. felony crimes, the most horrendous crimes over the past year, 3,600 additional felony crimes. Property crimes, 2,000 additional, rise from 2011 to 2012. I don't make this stuff up, folks. I'm like you. I know what's going on, and pretending it's not going on is not going to make it go away. We have to face our problems to solve our problems. This is a David and Goliath election. Everybody's saying I don't have a chance to win this election. Well, guess what? Nobody said I was going to get on the ballot either. Well, guess what? I'm on the ballot. And guess what? I'm standing here. And I'm standing here with my rock in this David and Goliath election. My rock is your vote. 87% of you did not vote in the last election. If you want things to change, you need to get out and vote. This election is not about me. It's about you. If you don't vote, you won't win. If you don't win, nothing is going to change. You're still going to be unemployed. Crime is still going to continue to rise. The police department's still going to be broken. And our education and our students will be dropping out continuously at a horrendous rate. Thank you.
Our last closing statement, 90 seconds, Mr. Dinelli.
First of all, I want to again thank KNME as well as PBS for this debate. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Thank you, Mr. Hay. I was born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I have a deep love for my community. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is Albuquerque better off today than we were 4 years ago as far as our economy is concerned? Are we a safer community today than we were 4 years ago? And the answer to both those questions, to me, is a resounding no. When you take a look at our economy, once again, we're the fourth worst city in the country when it comes to jobs. We've been identified as the 98th worst city out of 100 as far as job growth is concerned. Our young people are leaving in droves, our educated young people. 60% of those who graduate from UNM that are from New Mexico leave New Mexico. We need to have enough faith in ourselves. We need to invest in our communities. We need to invest in our neighborhoods. And we can create jobs, and jobs for the working class as well as the middle class. Jobs for the electricians, for the carpenters, by investing in our communities. Our Albuquerque Police Department is in a complete meltdown. We've lost over 200 police officers. Their response times have been increased intentionally, and crime is on the upswing. We're ranked, we're 54% over and above the United States average when it comes to crime. That's where Albuquerque is at today. This department needs to be turned around. We can invest, we can put more officers in the streets, and we can return to community-based policing. I ask for your vote, and I ask for your support on October 8th.
Thank you, Mr. Dinelli. That's it for our debate. Thank you to Richard Berry, Pete Dinelli, and Paul Hay, and a big thank you to our partner, the League of Women Voters of Central New Mexico. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote.